Maybe you've heard the word scrupulous before. It basically means that whenever you make a small thing into a big deal. It comes from the Latin word, basically meaning a small stone. And the idea is, a small stone is not a big deal unless it's in your shoe and rubbing that same spot over and over again until it makes a hole in your foot, and then it is a big deal. So the problem with scrupulosity, people who are scrupulous, is they take a small deal, something that's not very important, and they make it a big deal. Now, today's gospel reading, other than being long, has a lot of good things to say. It's talking about Jesus is taking the law as it's been given to Moses and taking it up to the next level. So you've heard it was said, you shall not kill, but I say, you shouldn't even be angry. You've heard it said, you shall not commit adultery, but I say to you, don't even have lust in your heart. And so what can happen to us as Christians is we hear these very strong words of Christ, and we can get a little bit scrupulous about these words. Because we start to think, okay, Jesus said these things, and I have a little bit of lust in my heart. I have a little bit of anger in my heart. And so I must be a terrible sinner. We're all sinners, of course. But the problem is a difference of degree. You can do any action in the world and all of a sudden be distracted by any number of thoughts. We can be here at Mass. You can hear me wax eloquently here up here and be distracted by your grocery list or whatever else you want to be distracted by. And so what naturally happens in life is random thoughts and feelings and desires will cross our hearts, our minds. They're not things that we chose to have there necessarily. And so those things are not sins. Where the sin lies is whenever those things cross our paths and we start to entertain them. Anytime you give a thought or a feeling or a desire attention, you start to give it power. And the more you focus in on that thing, the more all-encompassing that thing gets. I promise you the serial killer didn't start that way. But it starts with a fostering of that anger that builds up into something even greater. The adulterer, I would imagine, doesn't naturally want that to happen. And yet, focusing on that little desire that comes across the heart builds up into something big. So the best thing we can do with these kinds of thoughts, feelings, desires that come across ourselves is one of two ways. We've got two major strategies, at least as I can see them. One is let it pass straight by. We don't have to focus on every thought or feeling or desire that comes through us. That's the difference between us and other creatures, is we have our rational ability to say, that's not a helpful one. I'm going to let that one go. I try to imagine these kinds of things as like cars driving by on a highway. You can chase that car down, and you can expend a lot of time and energy and find yourself exhausted focusing in on that car and trying to catch it, or you can just let it drive by. Easier said than done, I know, but that's basically what we can do in any given moment. Also, a kind of a helpful thing to help things just pass by is maybe change gears. Try to do something physical, even something as simple as standing up whenever you're just so stuck in your head. Get out of your head. Do something else. Get distracted on something good long enough so that you can let the thing pass by. Because I promise you it won't be forever. The other thing to do is sometimes certain thoughts, feelings, and desires come up over and over again, and some of them are very strong. So what do we do with those? But we have to bring them to prayer. We have to ask the Lord, okay, why is this thing the thing I'm struggling with or coming to mind and heart over and over again? And I can give you 200 different reasons why any thought, feeling, or desire might come up, but there's something about sitting with those things with the Lord that diffuses them. And to start to uncover what's really going on, what's at the roots of why these things come up in the heart. It's of vital importance for the spiritual life to continue to reflect on all of these things as they come, because I ultimately want freedom for every one of you, for every one of us, that whenever a thought or feeling comes by, it doesn't totally derail everything that we've been trying to do and lead us straight by the nose into whatever it suggests. I want ultimately freedom, so that if a lustful feeling, an angry thought crosses your heart or mind, you can ultimately discern, am I going to do something with this or let it go? Or am I going to bring it to the Lord for the ongoing healing and strength that I need from Him?